Light, love, life. I am the light, and so are you. All right, so today we're gonna go over a couple of motifs. Who was this serpent in the garden? In some documents, it's Enki. In some documents, it's the Christ. In some documents, it's Moses. In some document, it's Lucifer. Let's check out a couple of videos here before we even come back and talk to this because there's a lot of motif here. Moses rise up the bronze serpent to save the people from the fiery serpent that bit them. So as the bronze serpent was risen up in the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man rise. Be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Continue on this road until the day star is in your heart. The day star is phosphorus. For I am the light, for I am the root of David, and the bright and morning star. At the same time, when Lucifer is associated with the morning star, the fact of the matter is the serpent in the garden was Christ, and in the secret book of John, Gnostic book, it says that I caused them to eat from the fruit, says Yahusha, Jesus, however you want to say it. The fact of the matter is there is striking resemblance to what the serpent is saying versus what the Christ is saying. The serpent says in the garden, "You're gods." David turned around and said the same thing. The Christ echoed the same thing. In the New Testament, was it not said in your book that ye are all gods and all are sons of the Most High? Also, I'm going to keep making these connections, okay? Christ says Christ says he is the light of the world. They define Lucifer as the light bearer. In the Emerald Tablets of Tot, Tahuti says, while you are seeking the light, you are at the same time bearing the light. So the reason why you could go in front of some people and you could speak this truth, and they'll have this smile from ear to ear because they're hearing something that they heard before thousands of years ago and it's still stuck in them. And then you could say this to other people who live in darkness and they are ready to throw down with you because they don't have the light in them. All right. So now Lucifer is a light bearer, but at the same time, Christ went on a mountain and he meditated until his whole body became a body of light. Now, here is something else that was profound. In John 10:33, it says, we stone you not because of something another, but we stone you because you, a man, claim to be God. Now, go back into that model And imagine what that chemistry must have been. Because you as a man claim to be God. But doesn't the serpent says the same thing? The serpent says the same thing. And the teachings, the definition of Lucifer is the light bearer. When I started studying this stuff, I used to get upset when they associate that word with Satan, because it's like, what do you guys can't freaking read? What the fudge? You can't read? And again, it doesn't bother me after a couple of decades. Um, but you got to remember, the teaching of the Christ was always about light. His whole teaching was about light. You are the light. And it's funny how the serpent enter, and the Catholic have a special twist to this. Remember, they have all the documents. We don't. The serpent stepped in as the liberator of man. So many different ways we can go into this. Let's go with what I wrote first, right? The serpent stepped in as the liberator of man. Then God told Moses to use a serpent on a cross so he could heal the people that he sent a fiery snake on. And then the Christ is telling you to be wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove. And then in your back, in your spinal column, in your base chakra, there are two serpents, the Inga and the Pingala. All right? So let's check this out. Let's check this out.
Lucifer was in the Garden of Eden and, in the form of a serpent, told Eve she could become like God. But did you know there is a secret book of John? And this secret information was so blasphemous that it was declared a heresy and banned by the church. The secret book of John reveals that it was Jesus in the garden. Jesus said, "As for the tree called the knowledge of good and evil, it is the wisdom of the light. They commanded him not to eat from it. However, I caused them to eat." Could Jesus, the self-proclaimed light of the world and morning star, be the same being as Lucifer, whose name in Latin literally means light bringer and morning star? In another banned gospel, is Jesus communicating to the reader that they are beings of light and can become God when they look within and realize their divinity. Jesus Christ is Lucifer.
They told you the serpent was evil, that it was a deceiver, a corrupter of mankind, that it whispered forbidden truths in the garden and condemned humanity to suffering. But what if that was a lie? The ancient texts, the numbers, the hidden codes, they tell a different story. A story buried beneath centuries of doctrine, rewritten to keep you blind. Because the serpent and the Messiah are the same. Mashiach, Nachash, 358, the same number. The anointed one and the bringer of knowledge, bound together in a... The Messiah was
Mashiach Nakash. Mashiach Nakash. So much to say here. I want to get into all that right now.
never coming to save you. He was coming to reveal the truth. The truth that was buried in the flood, sealed behind the walls of Babel, erased from history by those who feared it. The old gods knew. The serpent was Enki, the defier, the liberator, the one who gave mankind the knowledge they were never meant to have. Enlil, the lord of the storm, called him a traitor, labeled him a threat. And so the priests, the scribes, the architects of control rewrote the story. They made the serpent the villain, turned knowledge into a curse, and made obedience a virtue. But the numbers don't lie. 358 is the Messiah, 358 is the Serpent,
Hmm.
and the Serpent is returning. The sign.
That's numerical value 358. I haven't checked that out, but that's interesting. For the serpent, the Nakash, and the Messiah to have the same number.
Signs are everywhere. The dam is breaking. The waters are rising again. Not a flood of destruction, but a flood of revelation. The hidden knowledge, the ancient power. The signs are everywhere. The dam is breaking. The waters are rising again. Not a flood of destruction, but a flood of revelation. The hidden knowledge, the ancient power. It was sealed away, held back for an age. But the seal is cracking. You feel it, don't you? The shift, the unease, the sense that something is waking up. Because this world is shedding its skin, just like the serpent, just like it always has. And those who built their kingdoms on a lie are terrified, because they know what was buried will rise again. What was hidden will be revealed, and the old gods are watching. Their time is coming, and when it does, will you be ready?
Now it's funny how they paint the serpent as evil, and when you look through the rest of the text, it almost associate this being with the Watcher or the Agigi. When you study and climb in the lights and you reach Saturn, the gates of Adar, Ninib, the gates of Adar, the Necronomicon actually says, and this is the final gate before you reach the great Agigi. So if I couldn't define what Agigi was before that time, the Agigis are the planets that is outside of Saturn, going out. That would include Neptune, that would include Uranus, going up to Sirius. A connecting point here between the Agigi, Nakash, the shining ones, as defined by what the serpent actually mean in Hebrew. It meant one of the shining ones, is when you're counting the Agigis going out from Neptune and Keter's Uranus, going up to Sirius. One of them, a couple of them within their name means their meaning is very interesting. First, Uranus. Uranus is a rebel. Uranus is known as the rebel, the light rebel. Of course, Sirius is known as the light as well. All right. All right. Now, on your spiritual journey, you develop a couple of qualities. When you begin, it's like, oh, if you don't agree with me, you're going to hell. If you need to come across people that agree with you on your journey. Simple means one thing: you're not too very sure. If you need me to agree with you, because everything's supposed to be internal. So you come across this one point in your journey where I don't need for you to agree with me. You haven't put in 30 something years of research. Um, One of the things that you develop in your spiritual maturity is being able to take information from other system to line up with what you're feeling as an inner resonance within your own being. Now notice these people, they have all the freaking documents. We don't. All right. Remember that.
Flammas eius Lucifer matutinus inveniat. Ille in quam Lucifer qui nescito casum Christus filius tuus qui regressus ab inferis humano generis serenus iluxit et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum. Flammas eius Lucifer matutinus inveniat. Ille in quam Lucifer.
So the snake in the garden was Christ. And it would make perfect sense if Sophia fell from the pleroma and is now trapped in the dirt kingdom with archons and demiurge. It would make sense for the light to come for his counterpart. Sophia was the Christ consort under the Aeon name Elilit. He was known as the Logos, the Word. He is known as the personification of love, while she is known as the personification of wisdom. So, with Sophia now trapped in the dirt kingdom, it would only make perfect sense. Never mind, we collected this information from the Gnostics. Never mind, we're humble enough to say, listen, the Catholic, they sit on some books too. Let's learn and put this together. It would only make sense for at that point, the Christ would have said, well, I got to go get my woman. Simply as that. And when you put all the connections to what the serpent says and to what the Christ says, it's hard to refute. The serpent says, you are gods. The Christ says, you are gods. The serpent is associated with Lucifer, the bringer of light. The Christ came in the Melchizedek order of light, where his entire teaching is about the light, the inner light that's within you. The name Lucifer means to bear the light, to carry the light. Well, it seems that at one point the Christ went up on the mountain and he sit and he meditated until his entire body became a body of light. Seems like it's saying the same thing. Seems like we allow dogma to derail what it's actually saying. And when you go through the Gnostics, and the Gnostics look at Christ as the serpent in the garden, and some segment look at the Gnostic as Christos Lucifer, and you compare all the teachings, it's kind of hard. Lucifer, again, is the light bringer. The Christ, it says in the New Testament, continue on this road continue on this journey until the day star is in your heart. The day star in Greek, this was written in Greek, was actually referred to as phosphorus, the very same word that we equate to Lucifer, the shining one. The shining one, again, is the definition of the Nakash in Genesis 3. All right. And especially, dude says, "For I am the root of David, the bright and morning star." It's almost right in your face. And it seems that we're being derided by morals and dogmas in opposed to what the actual document is saying. That whole theme about the serpent being a liberator reflected in Exodus. He's on a cross now and he's saving people just by looking at it. As a matter of fact, the Nakash serpent was something that was venerated by the ancient Hebrew all the way up until I think a couple of kings after Solomon or something like that. Um, it's the connection is just undeniable.
Qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ab inferis, humano gene.
So it's funny right here. They believe that Christ is the son of Lucifer. And if you check my videos, quite a few videos back, maybe last year, I made the reference of Lucifer being Barbello, the light, Barbello, which all the light aeons are from. The four light aeons that stands in front of Barbello, Elilith, Davatai, Oroithel, and I don't remember the other one, but under Elilith stands that twin aeon um, of love and word and also wisdom.
Serenus iluxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum.